I'll remind you of all what happened.
Roll and see what you get. If it's not me, then make them do
No.
it.
Sounds like a valid choice, Sarah. Roll and see who it is.
Okay, so you guys were just partying in Burl. You guys won some prizes. Couple of you went shopping. You spoke with Kiara the Shadowbreaker.
Krellick robbed from a child.
You
Oh yeah.
I
Krellick
feel that
fully
needs
robbed a
reminding.
child.
Yep.
Yep. Uh, you met Wanderroot the Treant. You discovered Yumi's incredibly Puritan unexpectedly. Um, and you established you got some information about who the people like who people of influence are in Silverstand. You have a couple of names. The intention you have been more or less contracted, and the paperwork is going to be coming through Kiara in a minute. That where you are going to essentially try to get as much information as you can from Stolen Branch. They would like if you would go communicate with Lady Shendria and Astrazalian to figure out the severity of the situation. And oh my word. And I think that's pretty much it. Anything else you guys want to specially remember?
They were super rude to Vicaris.
Oh yeah.
The Eladrin. Or the high what's the Eladrin or the High Elves?
The Eladrin, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. They were super rude to my teammate and that did not go well.
Do you have more you'd like to say? Do you have anything
No,
else?
that's it.
Forgot about that part.
Are you done?
Really?
Are you done?
Did we? I'm trying to just remember. Did we fall asleep here in the street? Is that what we did, or did we go out?
Several of you did fall asleep outside in the streets. Yes, a couple people fell asleep in trees.
I think me and Yumi might did, right?
Yes.
Because we were.
I went to the inn like a non-insane person.
Come on, you gotta be one with nature sometimes.
Okay. Zashel, first thing in the morning, you get up at dawn. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Do you want to add anything to your ritual while you're out, or are you just doing your morning ritual?
How much time have I got in terms of trying to copy something into my book of whatever radiance? Seems weird to be a celestial warlock with a book of shadows. So
right, right. I agree. I think that would depend on. Well, actually, as Zashel, because you were not like partying, I think you could get 2 hours in before you would have to
sweet.
crash.
First level that I can copy in.
Mm-hmm. And just for future reference, anytime you do take a long rest, because you only need to sleep 6 hours, you have 2 free hours. So as long as you're taking a long rest, feel free to tick off some time for that. Yep.
Excellent.
Okay. And what's Yop up to first thing in the morning?
Sleeping.
Still? Where?
Oh yeah. In her shell.
Is that all she knows?
Yeah, Betty. I mean, I'm out. I probably wandered back close to the cart, not all the way to the cart, but close to wherever we parked that thing. Laid down, curled up in my shell. Betty's perched on top of it.
Okay. And Dasani and Yumi, who fell asleep in a yard somewhere.
A yard or in a tree?
In a tree in someone's backyard.
Yeah.
Very specific. Am I? Who's where in the tree? Is Yumi above me or am I above her?
That's up to you guys.
Oh.
I'm probably on the lowest branch that's stable, and I tied myself to it so I don't fall out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Dasani would probably be like trying to be all, super macho and get as high as he could, and in case anyone were to see him. But in the meantime, like throughout the night, he's like, always is like, dripping. So like probably dripping on Yumi the entire time.
No, that's perfectly fine because I have a water genasi and I make that same stories. There's just a puddle underneath me every time I wake up.
It's not your fault.
All right, so Yumi, you wake up to what feels like rain.
That's so gross.
It's very gross.
Hey, but I'm always so fresh and so clean.
Still on your body, dude. And you're still a teen.
Technically, in my teen years, I'm pretty much an adult. I just act like a teenager.
And that's still means something.
True. Truth.
Okay, so those who are waking up at any sort of decent time would notice that there are a lot of people who are passed out pretty much everywhere, on benches or on their porch, or there are one or two people who are just out in the street. Some people who are still very much awake, including some elven kind. But you do notice specifically that most elves are not, of course, in any way incapacitated, and there also seems to be fewer of them first thing in the morning. And
Could I mention where Krellick is before my a signal gets lost when I switch to house Wi-Fi?
yeah, go ahead.
I think we planned on like sleeping around the tree area. Krellick may or may not have ended up there, so I don't know where his night would have taken him. But in the morning, he's definitely asleep, one in his shell, but one arm is out, wrapped around some stuffed animal that he doesn't know where he got it from, but he has it. And there's like piles of half-eaten caramel apples around him, and that's kind of his life.
Evocative. When you get to your computer, add a stuffed unicorn to your inventory. Okay, so Zashel being probably, besides maybe Yumi, who is in someone's backyard somewhere, the most cognizant member of the party, will be located eventually by one of the soldiers of the keep, who will let you know that the contract has been written and just needs a signature. If you will go to the keep, Kiara will set you up.
Okay. Lead on. I'm pretty sure I can sign on behalf of us in short order.
Okay, so you're taken back into the keep to Kiara's office. She has tied her hair up and looks a little bit worse for wear. Several pieces of her armor she's removed, but she's still in the clothes from the night before, and she says, here you are, if you just mind looking over this. And this contract outlines your orders. It outlines this quest, I guess, which is to you'll be heading into the Silver Stand, while you will be conversing with the High Matron, at least so that she has a more full understanding of what you are planning on doing, can offer a suggestion if needs be, and then you will be interrogating in some fashion Stolen Branch, hopefully figure out some way to get that teleportation circle that he has memorized from him, and communicating in some degree, whether that be through Stolen Branch or you guys going yourselves, to Lady Chandria to indicate to figure out the severity of the situation as it stands, with the possibly stolen goods. And your reward for this will be 1,000 gold.
Yep, everything looks to be in order. I will go ahead and sign on behalf of Acquisitions Incorporated Lighthouse franchise.
You don't want to add anything to that just in case?
We covered going into the Silver Strand, meeting with, I have her name, Kethlis, High Matron Kethlis. We have not met her yet, right? We met Thovel, Sylphir Thovel.
Yes. Correct.
We're going in, we're discussing. Did it have anything about the... I'm sorry, did it have something about the recovery of the weapons from Saltmarsh?
Not as it stands. What it's going to say, what it says in that regard is they will defer to the Lady Chandria as to what she would prefer, because it's possible that she, like, if it happens that this isn't as big of a deal as perhaps Vicaris assumed, or even True Sword might suspect, then they don't want to put you in harm's way. If that is something that comes up, they'll draft another contract for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that would count as a separate task as far as this goes.
So I'm sorry, cover that again one more time. This just covers going in, talking to Chandria, trying to get the information out of Stolen Branch regarding the teleportation circle one way or another, but hopefully not in a way that detracts from their ability to use him for communications, teleportation, yada, yada, yada. Is that about the gist of it?
Yes. That's exactly it.
So basic information gathering, potential second contract for recovery of weapons should it be determined necessary.
Mm-hmm. Isn't this game fun?
It's so political and things.
Zasha would have a far better idea of any like legal technicalities than I would, especially right now. So I'm just going to go with, yeah, I'm sure that sounds fine to Zashel.
Right. What I'm saying is in the past you've had occasion to you've tweaked a contract with the this is the reward that we're looking for, but if we find anything else, we might this could be counted. This is not counted for the reward. So it was more of a, if you have any of your staple additions you'd like to if you'd like to add that, this is the time, but it's okay if you don't.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of circumstance where we would find additional, but you know what? I will put in a clause for additional information from Stolen Branch regarding the stolen weapons, should it turn out that they are in fact stolen, parlaying that into additional rewards, potentially going forward for the future contract.
Okay, fix. All right, you can sign that, and Kiara tells you that, so Treesword's going to be waiting at the gate for you. They're not going to leave without you, so you better find the rest of your crew and head out whenever you're ready.
Understood. I should be able to contact Well, some of them. At least one of them should be close enough. I do have one question for you, Kiara, and if the answer is that this is none of my business, please feel free to say that succinctly. The message from Anders, I just want to make sure that there is nothing in there that would indicate to you that he feels he is in any sort of danger. I possibly asked you this before, but I don't know that you had actually read the letter at the time. I believe I've mentioned our concern regarding his well-being and one Scaran wave chaser.
She makes eye contact with you, and she holds it as she walks around to the side of her desk. She continues to hold your gaze as she reaches into the desk, and she pulls out the letter and hands it to you.
I mean, if it's personal correspondence, I'm not asking to read it.
She shrugs.
I guess I will read it.
It's just actually a
She's
sweet.
letting me, so.
It's just a sweet little love letter. That's all. She's just, and then she just kind of smiles at you with her tongue in her cheek, with her arms crossed.
That's adorable. He's very sweet on you. Was
Yeah.
he always like this while you were in Saltmarsh, or is this something new?
She nods.
I can sort of understand the weird position that must put you in, given the... She's half-elven, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Given the discrepancies in lifespan, expectancy, that sort of thing.
For some folks, it's a bigger deal than for others. I mean, my mother was, 600 years older than my father? But, yeah, I did know him since he was a kid, so it is a little different.
I'm sorry, I don't really know how to respond to that because my people don't really experience those range of emotions, so I was just making small talk.
She just laughs and she takes the letter back and sticks it back in the drawer. All right, you got anything else you want to ask?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
Is
good
there
luck, then.
actually? No, I take that back. Have you dealt with the Lady Chandria before? This is more business oriented instead of personal.
No, not myself. I've not been allowed to go to Astrazalian.
Not allowed.
No.
Normal. I suppose they mostly don't let anyone in there that's not Elven or Eladrin.
Actually, no. Astrazalian is probably the most welcoming city to all sorts of folks, being that they spend half the year in the material plane. They're quite often visited by folks of all kinds. It's more of a, I myself am relatively barred from entering even the Silver Stand in a lot of cases, as I was born out of Handfast to a rather valuable, rather important, significant hunter. Her breaking code of conduct sort of fucked up my relationship with the tribe in general, and so they don't often let me through, period. And I don't really have any business out in Astrazalian anyway, so...
Zashel looks almost like completely confused. I have to admit, I'm surprised that a race as long-lived and focusing on individual freedoms, as I've been told elves are, would have any sort of care about handfast and that sort of thing. No Yuan-ti is really born to wedlock or love
Right.
or anything like that, so.
Right. Well, the Silver Stand's a bit of a outlier in that because they're relatively small in number and highly trained, very specialized hunters, they sort of have a rule about childbirth in general, and whether or not you can have kids and who you're allowed to have kids with. Well, definitely most human folk, certainly not. Particularly without the higher the prestige you have as a hunter, the more valuable you are to the tribe, and theoretically, the more important your offspring are supposed to be. Theoretically, I should have been born within the tribe and have had pretty significant influence, except for the rule breaking my mother did. They're a little bit stricter than most Elvenkind, that's all.
I see. And what prevented you from just going into the tribe again? Just because is your mother the elf or was your mother human?
My mother was Elvenkind. For a while, she lived in Saltmarsh with my father, and after, the typical boredom that someone so long-lived as an elf usually can get living in a small town like that, she decided to up and leave, and I was not really allowed to follow. That's all. Not bitter or anything. With rules like that, who cares? I just don't have a lot of experience to help you with in this particular avenue that you've asked.
Yes, yeah, sorry, forgive my prying. I'm always surprised at the ways of some of the other people. Not that I really have any room to judge, I suppose.
She laughs and nods. Don't worry, I'm not, clearly, as you've seen, I'm not much of a closed book, so most people here know my business.
All right, well, thank you again. Thank you for the assistance, the contract. I will let you know. I suppose I'm supposed to meet. Who am I meeting again? Which person? That's Ted forgetting, not Zash.
You'll be meeting up with True Sword again.
True Sword. Okay, that's what I thought. I will keep you in the loop when we return on what we find.
Hope everything goes well for you. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck with the rest of the festival and all that. And,
she nods.
Defense of this fort.
She nods and waves. You head out and begin tracking down everyone else.
Yeah, I will cast message at everybody as I'm walking around trying to find everyone.
Okay. I'm going to say this takes like half an hour. But everyone is...
Come on, Betty, let's go.
Squawk. What if Betty just does say squawk and it is just sounding like a person saying that onomatopoeia?
That will be my next invention for Betty.
Wait, which one? The one that makes it sound like a real squawk, or one that makes it sound like a person saying squawk? Okay.
The one that makes it sound like a person saying squawk.
Technically, you could use your magic tinkering
Mhm.
and then just have Betty use that. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think she can technically use magic weapons, or magic items, but the magic tinkering is more of if a creature touches it, and she does count as a creature. This is a dumb hypothetical.
Sarah, do you want this bird to squawk or what?
Okay. So you
Yeah,
all
just got to be tapped by a creature.
There you go. So you all, in your various states of waking, are taken and gathered together by Zashel and brought to the front gate of Burl, where you are met with the Eladrin True Sword, as well as a few of the elves, not as many as were here last night. And he nods to all of you and gestures for everyone to head out, unless you guys have anything else you'd like to do right before you leave.
Everyone ready? Good morning. I will go over the basics of the contract, go over the price. I mean, it's already signed on behalf, but if there are other things anybody wanted to add, or any problems that somebody wanted to raise now.
I mean, I trust your judgment on contracts.
Okay. All right, so you guys are then taken and are going to be walking with the guard to the borders of the forest, which in the morning appear much more yellow and red than they did the night before. Not so brazenly lit. Now there's a lot more of the deep, dark tones of autumn. Even though it's still only late summer, this forest seems very reactive to the change of the seasons. And along this path you are taken, and as soon as you step through the tree line, the path disappears. The foliage around you is deep, heavy, heady. In fact, it's a little bit muggy, and because you have a guide, that you are in no way, in any regard, are you lost, and directed through the dark and the deep forest and walking for what feels like possibly an hour or so. There is the sound of creatures around you, but they feel distant, not as close as if you were walking through the forest. Ordinarily, small creatures might get close, but everything seems to keep a radius. And you see some large mammals, some massive prey creatures, occasionally like a bear or something wandering, but everything keeps a boundary as you are led through to a clearing. And the deeper you go, the more you begin to detect and become aware of the density of the trees. At the outer rings, the trees are smaller, thin, but dense. And towards the center, the trees become broader, heavier, stronger, taller, but more spread out. And this clearing you find yourselves in is surrounded by heavy pillars of tree trunks that go up, dozens of feet. And you can see from the ground the canopy is dense, but there is something in the midpoint between the canopy and the ground from where you stand. And True Sword whistles up in a bird call, and shortly after that, not unlike, oh, he's not here. Never mind. I was gonna give a comparison for Doug, but he's not here. Not unlike, um, not unlike a very large lift. A very large wooden platform is lowered from the treetops with the strain of rope, and you can hear the sound of like mechanical pulleys and everything. There is no one on the platform as it is lowered to the ground, but True Sword directs you all to climb aboard.
And it's safe for Krellick and I to both get on this at the same time.
He whispers to one of the elves, who looks a little confused and concerned, and then shakes their head, and then he just looks at you and says, "Probably not, no."
Well, I guess Betty and I will wait down here, and you'll send it back down once they've gotten up safely.
The elf he whispered to just says, "We will split up. We will have half of you go, and then the other
I
half."
see. Lovely.
How far up are we going?
About 40 feet.
I'll just climb it.
Can you climb 40 feet?
I mean, I can climb. Right?
Yeah.
I can make climb checks.
Do you have? Oh, okay. You can make climb checks.
Yeah, I don't have climb speed or anything.
Okay, that's what I thought you were implying. Yeah, you can try to climb. I will have you do a check for every 10 feet, if that's all right.
Sick. Hold. Okay. I'm gonna jump the first 11 feet, so I can get 11 up on the tree. So then I'll only need to move 30-ish feet.
Yeah, let's get three athletics checks from you. If you drop below a 10 on any of those checks, you will fall.
Cool. Sounds good. Okay. I move up the first one. I move up the second one. And I move up the third one, all above 20.
Your dice are extraordinary for this game.
That's just this boy.
That is an agile turtle.
That is, so everyone else is calmly, casually, and politely directed onto the elevator platform, and another whistle up into the trees, and the rope creaks and groans and begins to pull and lift faster than you thought it would, because it kind of came down rather slowly. This seems much faster than you expected, and a few of you might have to brace yourselves against some railings. And as you are being lifted, you just see Krellick digging claws into the tree into the trunks of these trees and climbing spectacularly upwards to. Ooh, where's the handout?
Hey, Yop, can you do that?
No,
He
I
is
don't.
really
I
good
don't
at
think-
climbing.
I don't think that I can. Krellick is quite good at climbing.
I should have tried climbing that tree yesterday that I failed so badly at climbing.
Well, I don't know if he would have been able to climb that tree so well. Clearly, something was wrong with it if you were had such difficulty.
Oh, no, I know I'm not good at climbing trees. I just wanted to try it for fun.
I see.
Yumi's just kind of leaning over watching Krellick climb up.
Okay. And when the platform is lifted, it is then there is a little pitch as some hooks throw themselves out to the platform and pull it onto a sturdier piece of grounding, constructed wooden platform again. And what you see around you is buildings on the trees, built it around and through the branches, branches that have been grown and twisted and braided to create pathways that go between, through the canopy and act as roads. They have been carved into stairs, and in an unusual way, rather than perhaps like having these trees grow to be the structures and the houses and the buildings of the city, it is the trees exist and everything has been put around them, and looks very inorganic. The only plant life that seems to have been majorly affected to accommodate has been either like the carving into a tree or the branches being moved and forced to grow together to create highways and such, but otherwise they're not per se. It seems as if someone copy pasted things on top of this higher part of the canopy. And True Sword then takes you as the patriarch through and over some of these branches and these paths and things that are all lit magically, for those who cannot see as well in the dark, even though it's not terribly dark, to a particularly old structure that is crafted of both stone and wood on what looks like a tree towards the center of this compound of this city, and and it looks as if this particular tree has been cut so that it cannot grow much. Well, it can grow taller as trees do, but it is kept level and flat. And on top of that flat carved that cut surface is this building, which again shows the age of it shows age in its stone and in its wood, and he indicates through a translator that this is the home of the high matriarch, the high matron. And you are taken inside, where there is actually a rather old but not aged female elf with graying hair and a very bright and pleasant face. She has eladrin ears, and she appears to be kind of reddish and yellow, as if she's autumnal, but she does not have the solid colored eyes of an eladrin. She has she's clearly of mixed blood herself, and she speaks with True Sword for a moment and then introduces herself by saying, "Welcome to the Silver Stand. My name is Kethlas. You would say that in your own language as Wildwind, but feel free to call me as you would. I understand you have business here regarding a troublemaker within our city."
Greetings, matron from the Lighthouse franchise of Acquisitions Incorporated, based out of Saltmarsh. We are here with regards to a potential theft of weapons crates from your army, which were found within an abode in Saltmarsh. After discussing with the High Patron Thovel and others, including the Shadowbreaker, we came to understand that it was likely they were stolen by an individual that, appropriately enough, refers to themselves as Stolen Branch. We understand that the service that this individual provides is of incredible importance to Astruzalian and to its residents, and so any investigation that we would bear or that we would carry out should be done with utmost discretion. I suppose the first and most sort of pertinent question would be whether or not you know anything about the theft of these weapons or if they were indeed bartered or given away by somebody with the authority to do so.
Fortunately, we trade rarely with Astrazalian. Our encounters there are often social exclusively. If there were such a deal made, it would have been done in secret. It is nothing formal that I have negotiated with the princess.
So that in all likelihood, the weapons are in fact stolen.
That would be my assumption.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
How would you suggest conducting yourselves in this instance, under the circumstances?
How would we approach Stolen Branch, do you mean?
She nods.
Anyone wants to chime in, feel free. The easiest and most direct method that I can think of. I understand that Stolen Branch provides communication services to people within Astrazalian, or between people in Astrazalian and those on the Prime Material Plane. Is that correct? Is that correct? Let's assume that's correct.
Yeah, sorry, my mic didn't pick that up. I said yes. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank God. Yes, the answer is yes.
Either posing as a courier for somebody within Prime Material heading to Astrazalian, or, and possibly at the same time, posing as someone performing much a similar task as Stolen Branch to get the weapons out, someone smuggling something in. In this way, we can hope to ascertain whether or not Stolen Branch is in fact the culprit in the theft, potentially the means by which he is able to teleport back and forth, which we could hopefully then provide to you. I'm sure you have your own individuals who are capable of the spell with a rune, a teleport sigil, making it much more reliable. Or if you can think of some other thing that I have overlooked, I am quite happy to hear all suggestions.
This sounds sound to me. My concern is that Stolen Branch is somewhat of a talented mage as it is, and it is only your safety that I feel compelled to warn you. It is only for your safety that I feel compelled to warn you that not only is he not possibly dangerous, not only is it that he's possibly dangerous, but that he can defend himself quite handily, but also that I worry that someone of his skills might not be as readily available even after such information was retrieved. Perhaps that is something that I can discuss with Chandria if need arise. but I ask that Stolen Branch be not harmed.
Yeah, I have no intentions of having this be a violent confrontation at all. I am hoping with a little bit of subterfuge on our part, we can ascertain the information we need without alerting him, without angering him, and I suppose, should things begin to look like they're taking a turn for the worst, we can simply
You cut out right at the end?
So, no, I was yawning, sorry.
Okay.
We can simply, assuming we are not within Astrosalian at the time, simply walk away. There's nothing that needs to indicate to this individual that we are at all tied to you or the rest of Astrosalian. Indeed, I'm hoping that we can use the name of the potential buyer within Saltmarsh to make our introduction. Then, should any, shall we say, discomforts arise, they will be directed towards someone potentially receiving stolen goods, or indeed directly responsible for their theft, and not towards anyone from your court. Does that seem acceptable?
Absolutely, this is quite agreeable.
The main crux of all this, I suppose, is discovering from the Lady Chandria whether or not the items in question are in fact stolen in the first place. If they're not, it would be perhaps unwise to confront this stolen branch at all if the deal was made in good faith, which I tend to agree is unlikely, but if that is something you can ascertain from her quickly, then I see no reason not to operate under an assumption instead of the facts.
See what I can do about conversing with the princess in the meantime. Is there any sort of preparation, any offerings or such I can give to you now? Before I can also summon Stolen Branch here so that you do not have to hunt him down.
Yeah. You got any wine?
We do?
I'll take some.
Not questioning any sort of method. She calls for an attendant to bring you a pitcher of wine.
Cool. I take the pitcher.
Yeah, of course.
If there is anything the rest of you can think of that you might need immediately, now is the time. I, for myself, cannot think of anything that I might need.
Krillic takes a big glug of the wine, belches a bit.
Right, so it's like, you know, Zesh, you're real good at talking around a thing, yeah, but it sounds awfully complicated. I say we just tell him who he is, what we're there for, and you know, get the job done. It don't have to be a thing. Most things are real simple.
I'm not sure the situation is that simple.
Well, we can't kill him, right? So we, which by the way, our numbers are very low.
I hold up the abacus with all the skulls. Like, we have very few tacked over to the other side.
So this is already putting us in the red. And you know, if we can't kill him, then we just have a conversation, or we do a favor for him, right? He pays us and we get what we want. I'm just saying, we don't gotta pretend like we're someone else. We are who we are. Also, I stand out a lot, so it's gonna be real difficult for me to be someone else.
Indeed, I'm not asking anyone to be anyone else. Simply providing a narrative that might better enable us to ask our questions. That's all.
I'm just saying, you could just ask him, just right up front. You know, a lot of times, you know, people look. I lie and I steal, but people respect honesty. And if he's a cheater, then he'll respect someone who knows the game.
Hi, Matron. What would be the punishment for Stolen Branch should he, in fact, be proven to have stolen these weapons from the Lady Chandria and Astrazalian?
If he were to have stolen from Astrazalian, then his punishment would be deferred to her. This naturally would be capital punishment, as this is treachery to the crown.
Zashel just sort of looks at Krellick like, you see why he probably won't just admit to it.
Well, perhaps we could implore him with the fact that we know he was a party to the thievery, and if we can recover the weapons and return them in time, then no one will have to find out.
That is an option. My plan was simply to suggest that we were, and it is not technically a lie, worded carefully, under the employ of a certain member of the Council of Saltmarsh. We do also know that he has previously provided a member of the Council of Saltmarsh with certain items, and that said council member is interested in obtaining more and similar items. This provides much of the information that he would suspect, and it would allow us to confirm whether or not that he was involved, or B, that they were stolen, if we are unable to ascertain that directly from the Princess Chandria.
How old is this this guy?
Did you ask how old he was?
Mm-hmm.
She says he would be around upwards of 300, I would believe.
Fuck. Look, all I'm saying is, if I live 300 years doing crime, whatnot, I'd spot a lie. Easy.
Would you like me to summon him?
Do you think this is a conversation he'd be willing to have in front of the group of you, given that we are talking about a potential capital punishment?
I could take you somewhere else and direct him to meet with you. I could be a part of this if you'd like, or I can be separate.
If you can summon him, that's definitely far easier than us trying to find him.
Yes, and I think it's best if we just meet with him alone. Otherwise, he is much more likely to be tighter-lipped.
She nods, and she directs an attendant who tells you, I will be taking you to a location he is known to do business dealings.
Wonderful.
And then Kethlus retires to another room, and the attendant takes you back into the city, where now that it's lighter out, there are more people about, and you can hear echoing through the branches the sounds of music, at once harmonious and discordant, as people begin to play various instruments on their own, then try to tune to the people around them. Rather lackadaisical start to the day. And you are brought to a building near the outer rings of the constructed city that appears to be much newer. A pleasant public space. And then you are told to wait, and then, naturally mentioned, as you all have rather a distinct appearance, that Stolen Branch will be finding you shortly. Any last-minute thoughts, preparations beforehand?
If I have 10 minutes, I will ritually cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay. I'll let you do that. Anything else?
Once it's cast, I will cast Detect Magic and maintain concentration.
How long do we have?
You can have like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe.
I don't know that this will be useful. I don't think it'll be useful.
So we just tell him we're from Saltmarsh and we're wishing to acquire some goods that he could acquire for us? Is that what we're doing?
We have two options on the table, and I suppose while we have the time, we should simply vote. My suggestion would be to employ a bit of subterfuge to essentially pretend we are working for, without naming him, Galen, trying to acquire more Fey goods. We can be as non-specific as we'd like. We also have the far more direct option on the table of simply, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding you, of simply being straightforward and saying we are working for working for the princess, or simply we've heard and want to know. What is the underlying plan there?
Well, it's like this. You want to know about the weapons, yeah? So just ask him about the weapons. You could be a buyer if you wanted to mix it in a bit. But yeah, you just say, hey, this is us. We want to know about this. See what it is. Look, it's not a great plan, but, I'm just saying, if I was doing crime for as long as this guy probably is, and he sounds all magic-y, so, you start spinning yarns, and then he does some magic, and then all of a sudden, your sweater's falling apart.
To that end, I think instead of saying that we're working for Gillen Prime Water, it might be better to be a little bit more vague about the relationship if we just tell him we're associates or something to that end. If he has a way of magically contacting Gillen, it's much more likely not to be discovered. We are associates, I guess. Friends, perhaps? But if he asks if we are in his employ, the answer will certainly come back no. And then we will be shut down. Whereas
My plan was never to specifically use Gellen's name, to simply say a Saltmarsh council person.
But if you
Yeah.
just say that and there's only Gellin, then obviously who else would we be talking about?
yes, I think
So he would
I
ask
mean-
Gellin and Gellin would say no. That's what Yop is trying to say.
And if he goes to contact Gellen, we know that there's a relationship between the two. I mean, definitively. Whereas we can simply say, we didn't mean Gellen. That was an assumption on his
right, but
part.
we may not know that he is contacting him.
Yeah. What if we do him a favor? Right? We get in the mud together, right? And then, we have dirt on each other.
That, I suppose, is also an option.
Also, odds are he probably pays better than these elves are, so
The elves are paying us 1,000 gold for this.
yeah, but they all respectful, and he's probably making a shit ton of money, probably pay better.
We also have a contract with them.
We have
Well,
made a promise.
Yeah, well, you do both, right?
No, if he is a thief, we will not be working with him.
It also would sort of raise the question of what could he possibly need us to do for him. Like you said, he has hundreds of years of experience of doing whatever he's doing. Which, as far as we're aware, seems to be a solo operation.
Maybe.
Although, we are running out of time. I suppose we should decide which route we want to take.
Maybe you go with your idea, yeah, but keep it loose, keep it open. That way, if you're found out, you can just switch over to a different tactic.
Dasani, Yumi, thoughts?
I mean, I'm with Yop in I don't want to be smuggling any goods. And I don't want to make a deal with him to say that we will smuggle for him as in order to catch him in the act.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of smuggling, no.
There's everything wrong with a little bit of smuggling.
Yeah, but just a little bit.
No, I'm not a smuggler. I refuse.
Dasani, you have any input?
Andrew, you good? He may be unconscious.
No, I think he's. Yeah, he's
He's
Oh,
trying.
okay.
he's cycling the mute,
Unconscious.
so I think his Discord didn't work.
Me now?
There
Hey,
you
there you go.
There you
I
go.
was replying this whole time.
Oh,
no.
no.
Oh, no one caught that? Man.
Oh, what'd you say?
I said, stay true to the blue, man. No smuggling for me. And then everyone's like quiet. I was like, oh, nobody liked that. Okay, and muted. Got it. I don't know what happened. It said it was working. I don't know why. I must have lost a single or something.
You automatically assuming nobody thought that was funny is
I was like, and mute. Going back to my cave.
No, that was a good joke, dude, but it was funnier thinking that you did.
Yeah, it was more funny to me apparently at the time. I was like, all right, and we're back.
Okay, with this relatively decided. You are all in a, like, we'll say it's kind of like a public space in that it's kind of a park. There is like a building, a pavilion structure overhead. You all have like tables to sit at, and an individual, an Eladrin with red and blonde colored hair, a nice smiling face, and wearing commoner's clothes, and marked as you've seen other Eladrin, including Vicaris, with tattoos that indicate his age and position and rank and all those fun things. His status makes his way over to you, just very pleasantly, just pleasantly smiling, and sits next to you without waiting for permission. And she says, "Hi, everyone. I understand someone was interested in taking a vacation, possibly?"
That is one way to describe it, sure.
Excellent. Well, you don't have much time. I'm glad you caught me. Gets a little bit booked up here at the end of the season. Now, what sort of trip are you hoping to be making here at the end of summer?
One second, sorry.
Everyone else is dead silent.
Well,
Uh,
I believe we were looking to mix a little pleasure with business.
That's excellent news. Astrozalian's a beautiful trade market.
Yes, I've heard there are many wonderful things there. We are looking to perhaps engage in a little bit of trade for some of the very unique weaponry that is available in Astrozalian.
Oh, really? That's very peculiar, actually. Very,
Recently had an encroachment on our base of operations, and there are several individuals within our establishment who are, shall we say, less than martial. So we are hoping that more adequate defenses might be found.
What sort of equipment are you looking for? Siege equipment or personal defense? This is a very, I will be completely honest, quite extreme.
We have made a few rather extreme, what's the word I'm looking for? Not quite enemies, adversaries, I suppose you would call them. Some, at least one much older than probably you, or probably some of the others here within the Silver Strand. So the items we would normally be able to acquire are simply inadequate for our needs.
His eyes sort of twinkle, and he leans forward and puts both elbows on the table and rests his chin in his hand and says, "Something older than myself. What sort of things have you gotten yourselves into that you would need to defend yourselves from something like that?"
Are you familiar at all with There are a variety of intelligent undead creatures, I'm sure you're aware. We have made an enemy of at least one.
And perhaps more. And Yop, in a non-threatening way, will take out the trident and just sort of plant it in the ground and sort of use it as a little cane or rest herself against it, but just make a show of bringing it out.
Gotcha. He has a very intrigued look. He is very interested, if nothing else, the story that you're telling. And says, "And you have no preachers or any sort of holy folk who can help you against this undead thing? You
The greatest
need
defense,
help from Astrazalian?"
not specifically Astrazalian, but we understand that there might be something there that can help, since there is certainly nothing within the prime material that has been able to do the trick. The greatest the gods and followers were able to do was seal it behind a barrier that is, in my determination, far too easily breached.
All right. I understand your predicament and your particular needs. Now, this would require some discretion, as this is both something that would need to be moved a great distance and then need to be taken to Saltmarsh. This is a little bit of an expensive endeavor, you understand.
Did any of us actually say Saltmarsh?
No, I don't think we did.
Well, the best things often come with the highest prices.
We got plenty of coin.
I charge 500 to take any group per visit. And anything you purchase there comes from your own pocket and is not within my realm of negotiation.
And that is both ways, correct? There and out.
Payment up front covers your return journey as well.
You will forgive my asking, what guarantee do we have that we will not be stranded there? You seem reliable enough, but I don't particularly enjoy taking chances.
I wouldn't have very reliable clientele if I abandoned people, would I?
I don't know. How many would make it out to disparage your name?
I consider myself an honest business gentleman, and I very much take offense to the fact that you would consider that this payment would not... that the order of which I have presented my offer is in any way displeasurable.
My friend's here, he's just a bit, skittish. I can tell easily that, you know your business, you know what you're doing.
He grins and says, "This has been my line of work for a very long time. I do know what I'm doing."
Well, would someone so well informed as such as yourself have any recommendations for who to contact once we get to Asperzalion?
Absolutely. If you'd like, I know the city fairly well. I could take you wherever you would like to go.
I've got a question. So, you know, look, we're trying to get a hold of some sensitive sort of things, yeah? You bring us back, what, here? I'm just, how do we get what we trying to get out of there without being seen or noticed? Well, because, like, I ain't holding one thing, right? We ain't in it for a handful of things. We're talking about moving some serious business, serious weight.
His eyes have no like iris or pupil, so it's hard to see where his gaze is directed. But you see lightly his eyebrows lifting as he is counting each of you and says, "I could negotiate for a few others to join us in a return trip and assist you in that way."
What if what we was looking for? What if we needed like a crate? Maybe 2 or 3 crates.
You look mighty strong yourself. I don't see why I would need to involve anyone else if it were just crates.
Sure. 2 or 3 crates I can carry, no problem. What about a dozen?
I have a limit to how many people I can move at a time. If you wish that if this endeavor requires multiple trips, the fee increases.
So if we want to get what we get and get it out, it needs to be someone needs to be carrying it.
Yes. Sorry, the mic.
I'll just look to Zashel and give him a wink.
It seems we have an agreement then.
And are you prepared to leave now, or are there affairs you need to get in order?
Zashel looks at the others. Anything you might need?
Yumi just shrugs.
Maybe let's have a wine break, yeah, and reconvene in 15.
The wine break's always a nice idea.
I'm assuming you'd like some privacy.
You are good at what you do.
He stands and gives you another parting smile and drifts away, but not so far away that you could not recall him if you needed.
So are we going now? I mean, look, honestly, I don't know if anything that just happened helped us or didn't help us.
Well, it seems to me that we have all the information we need. He is more than open to smuggling weapons out of Asperzalion. We should just go to see Lady Chandria and replay the conversation for her.
None of what he said proves that he stole those weapons, though. His ability to transfer people in and out is already well known. the Saltmarsh mention is telling.
It's worth mentioning, just for your sake, that he was still called by the High Matron, who may have mentioned
Yeah.
where you came from. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's
he'd
what
be
I was
like,
about to
"Who
say.
wants to see me?" And
yeah. Just in case you guys are feeling paranoid enough.
Well,
Look.
I agree that he said nothing that comes close to an admission of stealing the weapons that Galen has. However, he doesn't need to admit to that crime. He has admitted that he is willing to smuggle weapons out. That should be more than enough to get him removed from his position.
The other thing you could do, right, is let your girl know what we're doing and that we're gonna be coming back with some things, and that she's there with her people when he brings us all back with the contraband. Then he's caught doing it, right? It's it's a trap.
Certainly an option, but he can always feign ignorance on the exact nature of our goods. He's simply the courier, after all. I think it's worth at least going into Astrazalian. If it's possible, one of us can break away and attempt to at any rate. The Lady Chandria. Normally I would suggest
When we go there, right, he shows us around, yeah. Just ask him, he obviously knows what he's doing, so just ask him, Oi, you know what you're doing. You done this for other people, or you know people in Saltmarsh to do this, that sort of thing.
I think it's worth. I agree with Krellick here. I think it's worth following him into Astrazalian.
Well, he's going to
Seeing if
show
we
us
can-
around, so we ain't. I mean, technically, he's following us.
We're following him. He's our guide for Astrazalian, so.
Yeah, that's what I said.
If we can get more information out of him, and honestly, if we can find some legal purchases, I'm sure not everything there is contraband. It might be useful for us to go there to begin with. If we can get more damning information out of him, that would certainly be helpful.
Could you imagine it? A whole city full of contraband.
I mean, it's technically not contraband while it's there. It's military supplies, so it's really only contraband once you remove it.
We're in sort of a public space, is that correct?
Uh-huh.
Are there any shops or anything around?
Yeah, sure.
Are there any that sell wine?
Naturally.
I'd like to go buy some wine or some wineskins just so it looks like we are actually taking a wine break.
All right, cool. Drop a 5 gold for that.
Okay.
I sort of assumed we were drinking the wine that Krellick already got.
Oh, I
that's-
assumed
that's-
that he had
that's
already
probably-
drank
that's
that wine.
Yeah, that's my wine,
Yeah.
and it is gone.
Cool. We'll take our 10, and he'll be back when we're back, and we will get you guys going on your trip unless there's anything else you want to do in the Silver Stand first. All right, so you guys just had a conversation with Stolen Branch about the possible services that he can render to you, including taking you to and back from Astrazalian, and you've conferred a little bit about what you'd like to be doing, and you bought some wine. And I am assuming you call him back over, or do you guys have more stuff you need to discuss?
Wait, did we drink said wine yet?
You can be drinking said wine, yeah.
I think Sonny loves that for us. Continue. Just
Okay.
Yeah, I think we are in agreement that we are headed into Ashkerzalion.
Okie dokie. All right. So you share that news with him. He looks delighted and tells you, "Are you ready to leave now, or do you need some more time to prepare? Do you need any materials, or perhaps any extra hands or assistance that you'd like to bring yourselves?"
I'm sorry. What is he asking?
He's asking if you need time to like materially prepare, and if you'd like to leave right now, or if you'd like to like set a date or something.
I'm good. I'm good to go.
I think there's no time like the present.
Not a problem. He just asks for the 500 gold payment up front.
Just out of curiosity, is that 500 a piece or 500 a person?
That is 500 for the trip, so that is altogether
Okay.
500.
Got it.
Rakaris, if you will provide that out of the hoard, we can recoup those costs later.
Oh, sure.
Oh, there's barely enough in the hoard.
There's plenty. There's 25 plat on top of the 494. I checked.
Yeah.
We could also just hand him like 5 rubies.
It's too late. I'm already converting it.
I think we'd only need 1 plat, and that would be 10 gold, which would get us to 500, leaving us 24 plat and 4. Yep. Never mind. I'm just going to shut up. You're the hordsman. You don't tell me how to make contracts. I'm not going to tell you how to handle the horde. My bad.
I did do exactly that though. So.
Hey. Okay. He takes up all this coin. He says, "If you'll all follow me then." And he takes you to a private quarters, a house of some fashion that is relatively small and blends in well, frankly, with the rest of the quote-unquote neighborhood, the rest of the buildings on that tree. And he takes you inside to through a living room and into a study, where he pulls out a box of chalks. And Vakaris, you can notice that some of these chalks are made with some of those colors that only are seen by Fey eyes. Some people cannot see those colors, so to everyone else that it reads as like that one's yellow or red. But there's like space between like orange and yellow where there is a color that you and he can perceive, but no one else can. And he begins drawing a teleportation circle, and he just tells you, "Make yourselves comfortable. This is going to take just a moment." And as he draws, what you see that he's doing is he will take a flat base of a color that is more ordinary, and then draw over some of those in some of the specialized colors as well. So to most of you end up almost entirely seeing a solid colored circle with some variations to it, but texturally it's all flat, and all of the runes and things are just not visible.
Do they show up to detect magic?
I would say so. Once the circle is drawn, you see that you have like the conjuration, I believe, magic that is teleportation, but not the specialized runes that would that could direct you. You wouldn't be able to read them and memorize them that way. Does that make sense? Because you're just getting an aura.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So after he's finished drawing the circle, he takes out a wand that is not at all surprisingly very much not of elven make, and begins his incantation. He instructs all of you to come to the circle, and then after his recitation, there is nothing to be seen. There is an emptiness of space. There is a sensation of free floating and then falling, and then suddenly you are somewhere else. We got another map. Oh, yeah. I like this map. You are far a ways outside of a distant city that is just on the water. And the walls of this city look at their bases to be at once ancient and new, as they are patchworked back together in a fortification and a refortification that is centuries old, a tradition that spans lifetimes of the fall of a city that has to be rebuilt every year. And around you, you can smell the ocean, you have the glow of a bright sun above, and you can see some plant life around that seems Fey touched, but is not, but is still very much recognizable as material. Material in its nature. And Stolen Branch very cheerfully begins walking towards the Citadel. Anything that you guys are doing as you walk, or no?
It's beautiful.
And like there are people around us?
Not right now. You are in the you are outside the city. There is not many. You don't see anyone around.
Okay.
If you'd like,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Anyone can make a perception check or investigation check if they'd like.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Okay, both Yop and Vicaris, as you are stepping away from where you've been teleported to, you catch sight of something at your feet, and it would appear that Dasani can also see this. The grass and very soft stonework are at your feet that create a teleportation circle, a naturally growing teleportation circle underneath you, and that is where you've teleported to. But it is not drawn, it is made with the plant life. Alright. Ted, what were you going to say?
That's probably why Zashel doesn't notice anything. I'm going to cast message to Vicaris. Just, you know this place better than any of the rest of us. Please keep an eye out for anything and let us know if there's anything we should, know.
Well, will do, but for sure this is the first time I've been here.
I can't respond without casting it again, so.
Okay. All right. So you begin the short trek towards the city walls. As you get closer, you see a number of things. This outer wall, this far outer wall that reaches into the water, you can see has gates and passages that are letting vessels through, and moving into the harbor region of that is still bordered by a greater wall that is very slowly allowing ships to pass as well. You see ships of all kinds, ancient human vessels, bright new cruise type vehicles, dwarven ships, elven ships, basically anything that has the capability of sailing is kind of in its rushing final moments in the last few days of Astrozalian's time here, to get in the last bit of trade they possibly can. You also see as you get closer more of the native folk, which have the bright red and golden colors of autumn, are recreationally sailing in vessels that are pulled by these enormous swans. Hey, computer, I'm not going to update you right now. And Stolen Branch takes you on a walking path towards the far side of the city that is away from the inlet of the waterways, and inside, beyond he takes you past a guard post as well. Just very friendly, speaks with the Eladrin on watch. These Eladrin are wearing the same dark to light twilight robes of the ones you encountered last night, but all of them have a more, what's the word, distinct appearance, in that they look more fey than elven, compared to those you've met in Silverstand. And beyond the wall is this gleaming citadel, which the outer rings look beautiful and new, and you know that is because they are only 6 months old. And the people here are of great diversity and cheerful demeanor. As some people are preparing in ways for harvest, some people are preparing for war, some people are saying goodbye for the season. And Stolen Branch turns to you and walks backwards, as leading you down the road, and says, "Now, we've talked a little bit about the nature of the tools you'd like to acquire, but I need a little bit more of a specification now that we're here. What exactly do you have in mind?"
I don't know that there was anything specific in mind, since, having never been here, I'm not entirely aware of what items are available or even what would make a good purchase against an elder undead creature.
He nods and says, "Well, anything blessed by someone of high power could very well lead to a great defense. If you're looking for something that is perhaps more initially dangerous, I could take you that route, but that is naturally that is a little bit more hard to come by, as this city takes quite good care about any threats towards its building and its safety."
Well, I do believe that any weapons that could be used to protect a city as fine as this would certainly be something that would interest us in our stand against creatures whose capabilities we know not the bounds of.
See. And what sort of tools are all of you capable of using? Perhaps that could give me a better idea of who I could be speaking with.
Anything?
Anything.
Everything?
Everything. Ooh.
I guess not magic. I don't know how to do magic, but basic tools I can use anything.
He flicks his eyebrows and looks at the rest of you.
I pretty much just use magic in general. I'm not proficient with anything else.
Oh, I'm quite handy with all sorts of tools, including those of war and defense.
Same. Something big.
I have very limited ability with weapons. My magics tend to be somewhat more focused than Vicaris's.
I'm pretty good at turning into like animals and stuff.
Dasani, I don't think that's what he's asking exactly.
Every little bit of information helps. And he turns around and begins walking forward and takes you towards some of the inner structuring of the city, towards this massive spire of a building that is pocketed with new stone and wood, as if it has been blown to pieces recently. Only the very foundations of it maintain its delicate and ancient decor. And at the base of this tower, it is merely a small access point, but he takes you into this grand sweeping hall that is in every regard noble and bright and well lit and colorful and painted with the history of the city, with a predominant figure decorating almost every tapestry and painting and stained glass window. This massively tall, broad-shouldered, elven fey woman with long ears and war paint and golden hair, and he takes you from here to the to some storage spaces. That doesn't seem particularly unusual, and he just tells you as he's leading you along, "Don't worry, I'm well known around here. I don't think that we'll have too much trouble moving around so long as you don't draw more attention to yourselves." And through these storage spaces, he goes into the commoners' and the servants' quarters and passageways, and speaks quietly with the guard. You see that he shakes the guard's hand. The guard's hand moves to a pocket, and he leads you farther into this keep. Then down some stairs, behind some doors, to a very deep and dark cellar where those who have no vision cannot see. And then in a moment he lightly whistles to himself, and you hear a soft chord, a melody being played on what sounds like a flute, and little lights fire up around him, and you can see that you are in a storage room for every sort of martial weapon, and everything here is marked with either the crest of Titania or the sigil to Astrazalian. And everything here counts mechanically as a +1 weapon. And he says, "I would need to naturally know what it is that you have your eye on, but we can make negotiation based on what exactly you'd like to present and what you'd like to consider taking."
Just so I'm clear, there was someone who appeared to be like a city guard that they had an interchange, and then he led us into like a downstairs weapons cache.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these crates, and more importantly, the markings on them look familiar to Dasani and myself. Is that correct?
Yes, you are all now familiar with the crest of Titania, which is the four-petaled flower against a moon, and then there is also the sigil that all the attending Eladrin of this castle wear, which is the 2 stars, one against the other. Yep.
And so this is what we saw when we broke into Gellen's place.
It looks like it.
Okay.
Krellick, his eyes go wide, and he just starts walking down whatever, I'm imagining it's like weapon racks. So he just makes his way around looking for the racks that carry the largest implements of death.
Mm-hmm. One such item is a great sword that is larger and wider than any great sword you've seen, but half of its blade is cut away, and it looks like it has a very thin piece of glass on that side of that blade.
I grab it and like feel its heft.
It feels incredibly unbalanced as you hold it in your hands. And Stolen Branch says, that is a very valuable and particular item, something specially crafted in mind for the Lady Chandria herself. She wields one with great force and beautiful might.
Is there are there any like wooden pillars, support pillars in this place? Anything like that?
Stone columns, yes.
Stone columns. All right. I swing it into the stone column.
Excellent. Would you make me an attack roll?
Yeah.
And which side would you like to attack with? The steel side or the glass side?
I don't know shit, so it's the glass side.
All right, cool.
Do you want me to just roll my normal weapon attack? Because this would be just if this is a great sword, I would be proficient with it. Yeah.
Then yes, yep.
Okay, cool. So I'll just roll the maul, which has all the same features as a great sword.
Yeah.
27 to hit.
All right. With deadly accuracy, you swing and smash this gigantic and weighted weapon into this pillar, and the glass explodes and shatters. And Stolen Branch says, well, you have to turn it on.
I hold it, look at it, kind of shake it a bit, see, loosen any more of the glass on it.
See, there's your problem. You put glass right here where there should be metal.
Elementally charged, if you happen to know how the device works, it can do a great deal of damage, depending on the elemental season or your own possible internal emotional state. It's very raw and elemental and powerful in the right hands.
Sorry, he didn't break it, did he?
Oh, that is very broken.
Here's the thing, right? It ain't that powerful, cause it broke. I would bring it back to whoever made it and tell them to make it again, right?
That is some amazing fucking logic right there.
Does he have to pay for that?
Stolen Branch is still smiling and just says, and tilts his head back. His hair kind of falls over his shoulder. He looks at Yumi and says, yes.
Well, I'll say, seeing as it's broken, I'll probably get a discount.
No, see, I did see you break it, and here's a little trick. Fey creatures don't lie. My word against yours, and I'm not the owner of this, but someone has to pay for it, and it ought to be the one who I know broke it.
I got plenty of gold. How much it cost? 10 gold? 50 gold?
He grins. 350?
I look at the blade again. I'm like,
Come on, mate. 350 for a sword that breaks when you swing it against something, and you're telling me it's this all-powerful magical thing?
He makes a gesture as if he's rolling his eyes, though that's kind of hard to see. And he goes to the wall where you are. He picks up a much lighter blade of a similar appearance, although it's crafted as a scimitar. And when he holds it, his grip tightens against it, and the glass side of it ignites in fire. And he says, "It's not broken, dear. You're just stupid."
Krellick will like walk into his space, right? Like get right up in his business. Put his like beak into his face and kind of like tilt his head around, looking in his eyes.
I knew I liked you.
He laughs and turns the fire off on the sword and remounts it to the wall.
Yeah, I give him 350.
Okay. What else are you doing? Andrew, what are you up to?
Trying not to be myself laughing at you guys right now. What's Dasani doing? No fucking clue.
The roll that you just did was
so
for...
he was explaining that to me. See, this is why I need Doug here.
Actually, you know what I'm gonna show you instead, rather than that specific thing. That's a cool thing, but I think you might like this one more. There is a stone cylinder that is about maybe a foot long. It appears to be hollow and is engraven with patterns that look like Elven script. That kind of catches your eye. On the pommel is a bright blue stone that gives off a very soft white light.
I like blue. What's this? He picks it up. Can he pick it up? Is it heavy?
No, it's actually quite light. And Stolen Branch comes to you and says, "Oh, this is a wand of water control. It's and he picks it up and holds it over his shoulder and then flicks it forward, and this jet of water flows out of it and takes a solid form as if like a whip, the end of it becoming an icy barb, and you hear a snap as it cracks. And when his hand lowers, the rope of the whip that is made of water maintains its shape. And he says, "It can do other things, create a modest amount of water at will, and just have it be free-flowing. It's a very dangerous weapon as it stands, and has the ability to alter the forces of nature quite substantially in the right hands."
Wait, did you say it was a staff?
No, it's a very small. It's like a foot long. It's almost wand length. It's a piece of stone.
Oh,
Yeah.
First I thought you said, okay, it's a piece of stone, but it's a wand.
Yes.
Got it. Righteous! How much for this?
700 gold.
Jeez. Do I have that much money? I don't think I have. Do I have that much? I don't even think I have that much.
Cool.
If you didn't spend it, you should. We made quite a bit.
Yeah, but I probably wasn't keeping track.
Oh, great work.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Good thing you started taking notes today.
Right? Well, see, I knew this because I wasn't keeping track, so I don't know where.
Leave it to the teenager to lose his wallet.
Right.
Someone else
Anybody
pay
wanna
for that.
spot me?
I
Okay,
did really consider actually having you guys get robbed if you slept outside during the festival, but I was like, that's a lot. I don't want to deal with that.
Right. Yeah, so I haven't.
We had just gotten paid. Did
we just get paid?
We had just gotten paid for something because
Or
I suddenly have money.
Coming back from the ship.
Oh,
It
that's
was
right.
a lot of money.
Right.
I suddenly have 1,000 gold, and I had definitely not had that before. So
What
How
did
do
we
you
get
guys
paid?
not track your money? What's happening
I-
here?
I'm new.
I just don't know. No, I
paying
have. I know
attention.
how much I have. I'm just saying
That
I
is
don't
my
know
bad.
if all
That
of
is-
that 1,000 was from that one payoff. I think it was.
Let me ask, who's the hordes person?
Okay, rude.
Horse person hasn't been here, so
Someone else was supposed to take over.
I think that's
you're
3.
supposed to keep your own loot, which I don't have that much because I spent a lot on that dog.
I haven't spent anything.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I can't afford it. Moving on.
Anybody want to spot me?
Sorry, I kind of spent a lot of money on that present I gave to Krellick. I'm kind of broke. Sorry, Dasani. What do you have that's not very expensive?
It looks you up and down, covered in your long-range armaments, and says, "Actually, would you make me a charisma check, Monkey?
Oh, fun.
Just curious. Don't worry about it." Okay. Hold on, I've got to find it. It might be in the alphabetical, which means I'm fucked because I don't remember what I named it. He does find something. He doesn't promise that it's not expensive, but it's something you'll be interested in. I can fucking find it. Oh, yeah. Okay, here it is. I'm going to show it to you and you can check it out. And he says that that item is unfortunately still 450 gold, but it is reasonable for its use.
I see. Can I think about it?
He smiles and nods.
And I'll wait for everyone else to buy their things first.
All right, anyone else poking around?
Anything not a weapon that might be?
He casually picks up some like +1 daggers and just says, "There is something more delicate like this, but unfortunately, most of the more arcane artifacts are kept elsewhere. And, well, they're harder to get to.
Harder, but not impossible. I'm sensing.
He sits himself up on a table and swings his legs and says, more expensive.
Worth the risk? Question mark.
He grins, but doesn't say anything.
Then there's little for me in this particular location.
Yop, are you looking at it? Are you looking for anything?
I will say to Stolen Branch, well, this is just a wonderful assortment of clearly very fine weaponry. I'm certain that with enough widely varied options at our disposal that we will be excellently prepared for whatever might come our way. So I'm curious, how much for just a variety of weapons, say, that could fill 3 crates?
He whistles and swings his legs some more and says, well, naturally that depends on the particular items you wish to be taking. That could run anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 gold.
Well, I understand, but I don't believe that either we nor you have the time that would clearly be necessary for you to educate us on all of this fine weaponry. I think that based on what we have seen so far, everything is of a quality and viciousness that would surpass anything that we could find, say, at the local smith's shop. So I myself would be more than happy to leave the particulars of the variety up to someone as well informed as yourself.
His legs continue to swing back and forth, and he just says, all right, I understand. Would you roll me a persuasion check? He says, I could assist you in this, if that is what you are asking.
Oh, it is.
Very well, very well. And he bounces down from the table and begins taking some notes in Sylvan that are vague. Not that any of you could read it, but like if Vicaris went to the effort to try to peek, they're not. It's not going to be an incriminating note. And he says, "Huh?
I'd have to
yeah,
touch
yeah.
it to read it for comprehend languages. So
Yeah,
if he hands it to us, I can read it. But beyond that, no.
After a minute or two of walking up and down the aisles and looking at different things, and says, I could bring to you a collection of valuables at a reasonable 5,500.
I look around to the group. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Assuming the weapons or the items are of all quality similar to this, that should be reasonable.
Do we have that much?
Of course we have that much.
I mean,
am
I'm not the one.
Obviously we have that much, Yumi.
I don't keep track of the money. That's Vakaris who keeps track of the money. So I don't know how much we have.
Not in the Horde, we don't.
Of course we have that much money. Don't be ridiculous.
Do
We
you have that much money?
We certainly have at our base of operations a wider array of funds which could be tapped into to facilitate this purchase.
Krellick just shakes his head. This guy's name is Stolen Branch?
Each you kind of pick up that everyone's got a name that was a given name that has something to do with something distinctive about them. He has a wand that is clearly unscrupulously procured.
I'm just like, but people refer to him as Stolen Branch. Like,
Yes.
that's Stolen Branch. Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to like gesture like down the aisle and to Stolen Branch and I'll say to him,
Do us a favor, yeah? Let's you and me have a little chat.
His long ears flick, and he's studying the group of you for a moment. All right. And he takes a step backwards, and his body falls into a pile of leaves, and then he appears likewise in its inverse on the opposite side of the room.
in the direction I was gesturing.
Yes.
Okay. I'll like look at where he was, and just kind of look around, like,
Wait. He just under the leaves. Hello?
Teleportation, Krellick.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
I'll walk over to him and just kind of I'll say to him,
Look, right, between you and me, yeah, my friend's very honorable, yeah, me, not so much. You know, when I heard we was gonna meet Stolen Branch, yeah, I did a little asking around before we came, and I came to find out that, you know, the reason why we came to you for this is that, well, I mean, apparently you're the man, yeah? You can come and go from this place as you please.
A matter of speaking, yes.
And since you's the only one who can do that, that makes you basically untouchable by any of the authorities, yeah?
Roll a charisma check.
flat charisma.
Persuasion.
Well, it's the same. I will hit it with the charisma. Pretty good.
Okay.
12.
He just very slowly blinks, and that same just lazy smile is still on his face, and he just says, "That's one way of interpreting it, yes."
Well, say, I puts that all together, and it seems to me that, you know, there's a lot of money to be made doing this sort of work, and I'm always in the market to make a little coin. Maybe there's something that you and I can work out. Yeah. I can help you get things to the other side. Maybe get things where you can't get to. After all, you can't be everywhere at the same time.
He thinks for a minute and says, "Perhaps you seem more than capable." And he makes effort to indicate that he is looking you up and down.
Yes, I travel around a lot, yeah. Up and down the coast, and I'll get to a lot of places. I could establish contacts in different cities, maybe expand a little bit of what you're doing, or maybe just enhance something you already got going on.
Roll me another persuasion check.
It's a 1, of course it's in that one.
You have inspiration you want to use?
I don't. I think I used inspiration last time.
Okay. Then he says, "Very tempting. But unfortunately, you have a bit of a distinct appearance. See, I can manage the way I do because something about most folks finding me rather innocuous. Unfortunately, you are a little obvious. But maybe there is something we can work out some other time."
I appreciate that, and I understand that kind of thing. Yeah, I do stand out. That's right. Ain't no one like Krellick the Tree Conqueror. Will keep me in mind, yeah, if anything comes up. So far, big fan of your work.
Thank you.
If, look, for me, it's hard to get to, well, it's hard to get in contact with people like you, yeah? A lot of time when I'm sailing, I'll stop in a couple places, usually salt marsh. Is there anyone there you know that I could speak to them to get in contact with you?
Oh, nice. I'm gonna ask for another persuasion check.
Yep. Come on, Crowley. It's a 20.
He says, "As it happens, there is a gentleman out there that I work with more frequently recently. He has interest in items for that nation in general. I believe he requests assistance for the military's expansion. A fellow calls himself Prime Water, I believe."
Krellick thinks for a minute. Also does not know who that is. Well, or at least if I, Sean, the player, do not know, because I don't have all my notes in front of me in case I did know.
You've definitely not met him, and I don't know that anyone has specified Galen Prime Water to you, so that I do not think has meaning to you.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Alright, I'll ask her after him. It should be pretty easy to find. We could do a lot of good work together. Just, you know, you need someone, you need a bit of muscle, someone's legs breaking out there. You let me know.
I will. Thank you.
I'll like put a few pats on his shoulder and then leave the hand there and say,
"Just don't give us any of those glass weapons, yeah? They break."
And then I'll walk back towards the others.
Just out of curiosity, does Krellick the Red have to make a charisma save?
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
Well, he almost had to make a wisdom save, but
Yeah.
he pulled that. He pulled through that one. He laughs, because he does not know how serious you are, and then teleports back to everybody else.
I wave the leaves away from my face.
Well, I believe we have a deal then.
I believe we do.
When and where should we meet you with the weapons?
How about you give me your address and I will get them where they need to go.
Oh, so we would not have to transport them ourselves. You would get them back to the material plane. Is that, am I understanding correctly?
Yes, this fee that we've discussed, this will cover my labor as well as the items listed.
Wonderful. And shall we provide payment when we receive the weapons then?
Half up front.
Very
Or is
well.
that
And what was the total that you had in mind? You gave quite a wide range previously.
5,500 in its totality?
I look around at the group.
It sounds like a deal, yeah?
It does sound like quite the deal. Okay, I will pull out the 1,500 gold that I have.
I'll put in 200 gold and 30 platinum. So total of 500.
I have 1,000 gold I can contribute also.
Between those,
Is this sorry, I'm a little confused. This is for what? Which weapons?
this is for essentially a grab bag that he's going to be putting together for you guys.
Yeah, we're actively making a weapons
A
cache.
buy.
Yeah, a buy. We're making
Right.
a weapons buy. So we're not buying individual things. We're actively buying illegal
Okay,
weapons.
so the wand that I originally wanted, can we throw that back in there?
That's separate. You can pay for that separate.
Oh,
from
that's
this
separate.
deal.
Okay,
And
got it.
and
These
just,
are like-
just so you know, like, we're not. At least my assumption is we're not keeping these weapons. Like,
no.
this is to,
Yeah.
right, this is to set
no,
him up.
Got that part. I meant for like the
Right.
subcritical.
So like
That's
I don't
why-
know if you'd want the wand that you want thrown in there because it would just go right back.
Right, I was confused. I missed
Honestly,
that
good
part where
chance
that-
anything
I got
we're
it,
buying
I got
right
it,
now
I
we're not
huh?
keeping.
Right.
I
This
said
is
honestly,
fun.
good chance anything we're getting right now we're not keeping because we're essentially stealing from AstraZeneca.
Exactly.
So I shouldn't buy that staff.
I mean, that's up to you.
your
You can
call.
hide it when we have to return everything.
Okay,
but
yeah.
that's-
As long as it's separate
What
from
you
we're
can
talking
do,
about, I mean,
what
as
you
long
can
as-
do is ask for it to be included in the contract as a reward for a job well done, if and when we have to recover the other weapons.
But then wouldn't that be bad?
Means you wouldn't have it.
Right. If I keep it separate, I get to keep it regardless.
Well,
Okay.
As it would still be considered stolen.
But I paid for it. Oh, but he stole it from somebody else. That's worth talking
I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
we are in the armory of
That's how
AstraZeneca
illegal
right
things
now.
work.
about. I get it now. I forget this is a setup. Okay. Yeah, never mind. Bye.
This is fun.
It's confusing.
It's a weird thing when I thought, look, I just want to say, I thought it was strange that you told the weapon buyer, you tell us how much we're gonna spend.
Okay. All right. If you guys handle that, Adam threw it, and 1,500. Yumi had 500. So that leaves what, 250 left? I think. Yep, 250.
I think it's another 500 because it was 5,500 is what he wanted.
Uh huh. My
So
stupid.
2750.
yeah, 2750 is what we need.
There you go. Okay.
I can't math right now. My brain is just not working.
750? That's what we still need after me and Yop.
750. Okay.
Cool. He drops the coins into a pocket that does not bulge. Just kind of flattens back out as soon as he closes it, and puts his hands together and says, "All right then. Are you ready to return home, or would you like a tour of the city?"
Did we want to look around the city?
I think a
Yes.
tour of the city sounds lovely.
But unfortunately, that means I spent all my money and cannot buy that pretty bow you showed me, so. Yeah.
Oh, such a pity.
I'll have to pass for this time.
Also, I feel like we might be on a time crunch.
We should definitely see the city.
Don't this place, like, disappear?
At
Not
the end
for-
of the week, I believe.
Yes, there's time. Don't
Also,
you
it'll
worry.
eventually come back.
Yeah, probably not, so we should see it now.
I mean,
He
it won't come back if they die.
he tilts his head and looks at you, Vicaris, with that same smile. You really have so little faith in Chandria's military.
I'm just worried.
His head tilts to the other side. Why would you be so worried?
I tend to be more worried when I look like this.
He gets close to you, like inches from your face. His head's still kind of tilted to one side. He puts a finger under your chin and kind of lifts you a little bit and says, "You're a little young to be so worried." And then steps
So you have
back.
to make a crazy saving throw.
He does not.
Ah, damn.
And
I mean, maybe it's inexperience, sure, but I just feel like without weapons, what good is a soldier?
an interesting point you make. Chandria herself has killed hundreds of giants with her bare hands. You say
sure.
that she could not handle such... She and her knights could not handle such while armored and armed?
Oh no, I don't mean to insult Chandria for sure, but if I was in an anti-magic field, I wouldn't be useless, but I certainly wouldn't be as good as I normally am.
Are you implying?
I think he's a little paranoid. You can just ignore him. He gets a little weird when he changes colors.
Racist.
And Yumi will try to drag Vicaris away from this guy.
You will say paranoid, I say worried.
Paranoid. He's paranoid. It's fine. I will grab Vicaris and drag him away.
As
By the elbow.
being like pulled back, he just very calmly and casually says, "Remember where you are."
Yeah,
The
maybe we should,
armory of Astrazalian, yes.
maybe we should just go home so he doesn't get more paranoid.
Perhaps, Stolen Branch, the two of them could wait wherever it is you brought us initially while you show us the rest of the town. I still have some gold in my pocket, and I am still interested in something that could perhaps protect me from the aforementioned undead threat. If there is someone else here who might have such a thing for purchase, I would certainly like to meet them.
But we're still waiting.
Why don't we just spend
Yes,
the day
I'm
here?
sure you can find some ways to entertain yourself while you do that.
That's the thing is Vakaris here thinks we're on a time crunch and we don't have time to wait around. And that is why he is paranoid. So we should leave so he's less paranoid.
I think we should just stay the day here, enjoy it
Let
while we
me
can.
speak to Vakaris for a moment. I will be right back. I will take Vakaris out of earshot.
Okay.
In the meantime, I will speak with Stolen Branch about the intricacies of Betty, whether or not he's interested in hearing it.
He is actually quite interested.
Okay, excellent.
Vakaris, if he will let you wait in the area that we brought, to which we were brought, perhaps you can find the sigil that he is using to come here. That is part of our contract. If we can find that sigil, then other mages would be able to use it. This would be a humongous help for all of Astrazalian and Lady Chandria specifically, since it would allow them to no longer rely on this particular individual for this service. Do you think that is perhaps worth the waiting while we are, and I will very subtly air quote, being shown the town?
Oh, sure, that's not a bad idea, but I guess the problem is what mages are trying to use this.
Plenty of them.
Right, but ones that can be trusted?
I'm not an expert on conjuration magic, but given that the High Matron Keflas, the High Patron Thoavel, have both expressed interest in it, yes, I'm sure this is something that would be used to the betterment of all of Astrazalian.
I mean, as long as you're sure about their intentions, I'm fine with that, but I don't want to be selling Astrazalia's secrets to might exploit them.
They're the other elves that are allied with Astrazalian. Even Lady Chandria herself could use that sigil. We just need to know what it is.
Right, sure, but I'm just saying, once we know it, I'm afraid it might get out to other people.
That would be up to the Lady Chandria then, wouldn't it?
Or anybody in our group.
Well, I'm not suggesting you tell it to our entire group. I'm not even suggesting you tell it to me. I'm suggesting you learn it so that you can give it to the Lady to the Lady Chandria or the High Matron.
Perfect, I'll find it and then I won't tell anybody. It'll be my secret.
Fantastic, and I will walk back out.
Have fun exploring.
It sounds as though they are, or at least Vakaris here, is content to wait in the place to which you brought us first, if that is acceptable to you.
I will go with him and make sure he doesn't go stir crazy.
I would love a perception or a persuasion check from you, Zashel.
Incoming 8 total. I'll take it.
Okay. He says he gives another look back at Vakaris and says, "Such a young child, so unfocused. Real pity. Very well."
That was Vakaris breathing very loud.
In character breathing.
Yeah.
If you would like to escort them, and obviously we should all get out of here before anyone else finds us.
He escorts you all out and takes you back.
Can I tell him? Like I'll place that broken sword just on like what I don't know if there's a table or he said at one point he was on a table, so
Yeah.
I'll put it on the table and just say I'll say to Stolen Branch,
Or do me a favor, just melt that down for scrap. Yeah.
Oh, I won't be doing that. And he leads you back up through the castle and to the outer wall to drop off Vicaris and Yumi. And he lightly catches the fabric of Vicaris's robes and just says, "You're missing an excellent opportunity, you understand."
Oh, I'm sure I'll be back.
He looks at some of the marks you're tattooing and such and just says, "Have you ever met Titania?"
Oh, not yet, but I plan to meet her one day for sure. We're gonna be great friends.
He lets you go. Okay. All right. If the two of you,
Sorry, what's his name again?
his name is Stolen Branch.
Oh, they're all Stolen Branch?
No, what?
Wait, I thought Stolen Branch was a girl.
It's just a. I mean, right now he's male, but Eladrin can actually move between sexes and
Sorry,
genders.
that was my confusion earlier, and I was out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Got it.
I've
The person
been
that
using
was
male
in that
pronouns
earlier.
for him.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Anyway, he lets you two go. If you guys would like to try to decipher that that circle, I will need some skill checks from you. Is that what you would like to do, or no?
I believe that's what I'm here for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah.
Okay. So because it is naturally grown, it is going to be challenging. So you can roll Arcana, but because it's intelligence based, but you'll be rolling at disadvantage. And I'll give you, because of how much time you'll be getting, you can make this check twice.
Okay. Yeah. I got this. I'll be right. Great. I'm doing great, guys. Side note, I have no inspirations.
You have no inspiration. You have no Tides of Chaos.
I would like, on this next check, to use Luckstone to make it a normal check.
Okay.
I should have done that the first time. Nope. Anything else to help me? 18?
18 gets you very close.
Ah! Should have done it the first time. I knew it.
You know you need help, but you don't know where you're going to be able to find help, except maybe back in the Citadel. Okay. All right. So everyone else gets a very extravagant, pleasant, and opulent tour of the massive city that is populated by all sorts of fae. There are dryads and satyrs and shadowy figures and bright spirits and sprites and quicklings and all sorts of folk, and everything is brightly painted as the close of the season is kind of the last few weeks where people get to enjoy themselves before they all go to war. And it is incredibly densely guarded. Although most guards here are wearing, very few of them wear much armor. They are all mostly wearing robes. And all would be like armed with long blades, or perhaps instruments. It would appear that like you can be a bard to the crown and enlisted as a soldier. Anything specific that you would all be doing? Are you like actually looking for more legitimate magic items, like legitimately purchased magic items while you're here?
I mean, not that I'm not anymore since I'm basically broke. But...
Okay.
I actually, Krellick would be, as we go through, would ask, would like to talk to Yop.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to speak to Yop and Aquin.
Okay.
I'll say, I'll like drift back. So me and Yop are like at the back of the pack as we're being led around.
So was I had a little chat with our friend there, Mr. The Tree Man, yeah?
Yes?
Yeah, I tried to get all cozy with him, yeah? I figured, we're two of a kind, He knows his way around some coin. I know how to take coin.
Oh, that's an excellent idea. How did that work out for you?
Well, I didn't get hired, so that's a downside. Right? I could use some extra money, because it's nice to have nice things. But he talked about how he knew people in Saltmarsh. He knew a water person.
Well, that is most interesting.
Yeah, he knew a water man, and that's probably who we have to talk to.
A waterman? Do you mean like Dasani?
Well, I mean, he could be, right? He said he was a water person, so, there's a water person in Saltmarsh that the tree guy talks to, and that's probably, who's he's working with.
And Stolen Branch didn't give you a name.
Well, he said the waterman.
Oh, the waterman is his name.
Yeah.
Oh. I believe I know who Mr. Stolen Branch was talking about. Was the name he said perchance Prime Water?
That's it. Yup, that's it.
Oh, Krellick, you did very good.
Oh no, look, it's like I was saying, yeah, birds of a feather, Also, I could tell, he liked being talked nice to.
Yes, well, clearly it has paid excellent dividends, and when we get out of this place, we will all confer so that we can all be on the same page.
Yeah. Look, I gotta say, as far as a weapons purchase goes, first time around, not bad. We could do better, though.
Yes, well, just keep in mind that we're not actually purchasing these weapons.
Oh, no, yeah, I know that. I'm just saying, for the principle of the thing, we could do a lot better. Honestly, like, you kind of just told him whatever amount he wanted to make it, and that's not good. If you don't know, it seemed like we didn't have the money, so it's probably not a good idea to let, the other person make the amount if you don't have it.
I see. Well, perhaps when we have more time, you could educate me further on the proper etiquette of illegal weapons purchasing.
That sounds like quite a date.
Wonderful. Would you like some wine? And Yop will offer her a wineskin.
Yeah, absolutely. Krellick will happily share the wine with you.
Wonderful.
Any other things being done today before you guys would be headed back?
Beheaded? What? Oh.
Nothing I can think of.
I can't kill anyone here, so I can't get our numbers up. Our cultancy numbers are very, very low. I feel like the others would be mad if I got in a bar fight, so Krellick will probably...
Not here.
Krellick will probably just hang with Yop and share the wine.
Okay. All right then. So as the day comes to an end, Stolen Branch takes all of you back up to the hill, where Yumi and well, it's not the end of the day, we'll say, but where Yumi and Bakaris are in about mid-afternoon, and say, well, I think this went well. I think this went extraordinarily. How are you all feeling?
I'm looking forward to a long and fruitful friendship.
He shrugs.
Yeah. Hey, if we do more business, which I think we probably will, you seem real powerful, like, and maybe you have a thingy you give us that lets us come to you.
Maybe. And with that, he teleports you all back to his home. And then he says, I'll have all of those items to you shortly.
Wonderful. Just a point of order for the party here. Are we giving him the lighthouse as the location?
I was going to avoid doing that because we've already had one incursion into the lighthouse.
When you've done that exact thing before.
Yep. Zashel learned his lesson.
Tell him
Question.
Tell him the Crab Beach. Tell him Crab Beach.
There are guards posted at the house that is up on Crab Beach, so that's probably not a great idea.
Is that house we cleared out in the beginning empty now?
That's what I was thinking.
I believe that was turned over to the city, wasn't it?
It was going to be put up. We did not. It was going to be put up for auction, and as far as I'm aware, it has not actually been sold yet.
I would allow that being the case. I would allow that to be a good meetup spot. Plus, that's his preference. He would make it pretty clear, like, you know, as you're talking more throughout the day, he would make it clear that even though he doesn't know that the charms on the bridge, on the Sharkfin Bridge and everything have been broken, he has a natural inclination to avoid going through town because of the wards against Fae on it.
And I feel like we can give that house and then just let the other council members know that we're borrowing it for an operation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good plan.
It actually does sound like a good plan.
Okay.
Also, Yumi spent hours sitting outside, so everyone's getting flower crowns.
Nice.
We just have to let the Silverstrand elves know if they want to, you know, help catch them in the act or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Trying to think of any of the stuff that we could, like, crank out as more table talk. You absolutely could go to Wildwind and tell her everything, and play back from the Whisper Jar.
Mm-hmm.
And what she is going to say in response to that is, this is very damning evidence and this is very good. Like this is you guys did fabulously and will be rewarded for your as per your contract. However, the severity of this case is greater than she had expected, because he is not only selling weaponry, he's selling magic weaponry, enchanted weaponry, which pulls it from her purview and does demand that this be brought to the attention of Chandria. And she can she can arrange for a meeting and a conversation with Chandria, but ultimately, because you guys have the Whisper Jar and everything, you would still need to be present for that meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
We can also, even though Vicaris is close on the sigil itself, presumably we might be able to tell the way back to wherever it was we were teleported to, and they would have more time to be able to find the sigil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if they
I
do
will-
have to arrest him, they have a recourse for using the teleport circle.
Yop will also very hesitantly bring up whether or not it's possible to be, in addition to the contract, to be refunded the cost of the operation, as that has grown quite large.
Sick.
Give me a persuasion check, if you wouldn't mind, Adam.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
I would definitely try to assist, but we'll just see how that goes.
No, you can help. You can lend the help action. I can't imagine this is a conversation she's having by herself. Oh. Okay,
12's
so
not,
I will-
12's not bad though.
I will burn an inspiration on that.
okay. Hey. Okay. All right then. If that is the case, you will be refunded. It will take them time because there is not actually a lot of gold within the silver stand. But what her hope would be is to converse with Chandria and maybe see if there is a possibility of negotiating money that direction, and that you guys meeting with and conversing with Lady Chandria will be next week, where she will have some favors to ask of you. Yeah, that's where we'll end it for tonight.